to bring Don back to talk a little bit about what's going on whenever a consumer goes in and makes decisions on the honey they buy at the supermarket at the retail level. Don's done some great research on this topic, and can't wait for him to share it with you. Take it away, Don.
Thank you, Keith. I should first note that the presenters didn't get the honey surprise package, so I'm a little disappointed there. But hi, it's Don Ladoff again to talk about a topic of vital interest to packers who sell into the retail channel: how to read minds. Well, while that might not be possible, we can do the next best thing. We can use consumer research and the ANU information that Laurel just shared with us to construct a honey purchase decision tree. I once had a brand manager at a client tell me that he would give anything to know what a shopper was thinking when they were standing in the aisle where his products were sold. So constructing a purchase decision tree can help us get a sense for this. A decision tree illustrates the key considerations that are being made at each step along the shopper's path to purchase. And it begins before they even go to the store, when a consumer planning a shopping trip considers whether they need to purchase something from a category or purchase a specific item. This busy graphic was put together by another commodity board, but it was meant to illustrate all of the influences that a consumer experiences as they travel the path to purchase, from awareness to consideration to purchasing online or in store. A decision tree seeks to identify the key moments along this journey so that as marketers, we can optimize our offerings and our marketing programs. So let's go shopping. What's on our shopper's mind at this point? Well, should they buy honey? We know from the ANU that 73% of honey purchase occasions are planned, meaning that a shopper is literally putting honey on their shopping list. Why are they doing that? Well, we know that 2/3 of planned honey purchases are because they are out of honey or planning to restock. 51% of overall honey purchase occasions. And the balance of planned purchases were because they had a specific use or recipe in mind, 23% of overall honey purchase occasions. But not every shopper is planning to buy honey. They ask themselves the question of should they buy honey? But they don't think so. We know from the ANU results that 27% of honey purchases are unplanned and decided in the store. So what spurred that decision? 60% of unplanned purchases were influenced by honey being on display or on promotion, 15% of overall purchase occasions. And the balance were because shoppers saw something new or interesting or different, perhaps this gallberry honey. And that accounted for 10% of overall honey purchase occasions. So decision trees are typically depicted as flowcharts, and we've done that here. Let's look first at planned purchases and what are the key considerations for restocking and specific use in mind purchases. The ANU study had asked respondents to identify their 3 most important criteria when deciding which honey to buy the last time they purchased honey. By cross-tabulating these responses with whether they were making a restock or specific use purchase, we can rank the most important considerations along with their relative score, that is, the percentage of respondents identifying that consideration. Not surprisingly, price is the #1 consideration in both situations. followed by size, which also has a big bearing on price. Behind this comes consideration of what brand of honey to purchase, and then what form of honey, liquid, whipped, or comb. Ranked after these first four attributes come consideration of any product claims, specifically whether honey is labeled as raw or unfiltered, local or organic. It's worth noting that raw or unfiltered scores the highest of the three claims, essentially tying with form for the number 4 spot. In fact, Nielsen reports that 24.5% of all honey sold is categorized as raw. The lowest ranked consideration on our decision tree is the container that the honey comes in, whether it is glass or plastic. By the way, Nielsen reminds us that 85% of honey is sold in plastic containers. There's also value in comparing the differing rank and scores for considerations made with a restock purchase versus a specific use in mind. Price is slightly less important when purchasing honey for a specific use, whereas an organic claim is somewhat more important and moves ahead of local in our rankings. Let's take a look at the purchase considerations for the two unplanned situations. For shoppers deciding to purchase based on a display or promotion, the first three considerations are the same as planned purchases. But then there are some notable differences. Raw and local claims become more important and rise in the rankings, while form and an organic claim are weighted less. The considerations shift most dramatically when looking at unplanned purchases, influenced by seeing something new or different. Price is still the number one consideration, but significantly less important than the other purchase situations, as is the consideration of size. On the other hand, the importance of a claim of raw or unfiltered climbs all the way up to take the number 2 ranking, and an organic claim also scores much higher. And it's worth noting that a newcomer breaks into our top 8 ranking. The variety of honey is a top 3 consideration by 18% of respondents who made a purchase because they saw something new or different. The ANU responses also provide us with the ability to parse honey purchase considerations by the channel that the purchase was made in. Interestingly, price is most important when shopping in a supermarket or supercenter, with 58% ranking it as a top 3 consideration, where only 45% rank price as a top 3 consideration in club stores, possibly because of the confidence they have that they're getting a very good price at a club store. But only 29% of respondents indicate price as a top 3 consideration when purchasing online. Why is price so much less important when shopping online? Is it because a shopper already feels they're getting a good price? Or is it because there are so many choices when shopping online that price becomes less of a factor? Yet, brand is ranked higher as a consideration when purchasing online than in any other venue, with 45% identifying brand as a top 3 consideration versus just 37% for purchases made in a supermarket. So again, why is online purchasing so different? Is it because there are so many brands to consider? Also worth noting too that brand is a bit more important when making a planned versus an unplanned purchase, and a bit more important when the shopper has seen a promotion versus they made a purchase because they noticed something new or different. When we look at claims, we see that claims are most important when purchasing at a natural food store, which seems somewhat intuitive. But right behind that is 35% ranking it as a top 3 consideration when purchasing at a club store. Could that possibly be that shoppers are seeking a reinforcement for this commitment to making a larger quantity purchase? And then when we zero in on the pure, unfiltered, or raw claim, it's more important in a planned purchase than an unplanned purchase, and notably more important in purchasing because the shopper noticed something new or different versus purchasing because they saw a promotion. And then finally, when we look at package size, where it's a 36% top three consideration overall, it's 50% of shoppers rank it as a top three consideration when they purchase their honey in a supermarket or supercenter. But again, when purchasing online, much lower. And again, we wonder why. Is it because the supersized selection they have to choose from makes package size a bit secondary? Also worth noting that size is a bit more important in making a planned versus unplanned purchase, and significantly more important in buying because they saw a promotion versus noticing something new or different. So while there's still much that we don't know about the process of deciding on a honey purchase, I hope you found our initial effort at building a honey purchase decision tree helpful. Now I'll turn it back over to Keith to see if any questions come in. Thanks.
Thanks, Don. That was very, very, very interesting. We do have a couple questions coming in. One of them was about the 42% ranked price top three considerations. Is that average for most products in a supermarket, or does that seem unique for honey, that number?
It's a bit lower than other products. You know, if you will, it's the classic definition of a commodity that's very price impacted. You know, when I'm thinking of buying, I don't know, branded sugar versus store brand sugar, do I feel that other qualities are important? Price is very important. And then you get into other areas, I don't know, craft beer, maybe it's a little less important. But honey's a bit on the lower side versus a number of items. I've worked with categories where price ranks up in the 70 or 80% range in terms of a top purchase consideration.
Gotcha. What's the biggest thing surprised you about this data so far?
I would say the variations by channel. I think that most of us could have, you know, listed the considerations and gotten pretty close to what the rank order would be. Certainly they are different when people are buying, motivated to buy because they saw something new or different. That idea of a raw or unfiltered claim becoming the second most important factor. But when we parse it by the different channels and the fact that the online honey purchase is feeling significantly different, that would certainly warrant further investigation.
Perfect. Okay, a couple more. Do we have data about the frequency of honey purchase / restock?
We have Nielsen data on the frequency of purchase. You know, it's about 1.9 purchases per year on average. But in terms of frequency of purchase specifically for restock, that is something that we can't cross-tabulate Nielsen to our own ANU study, and we would have to go out and specifically seek those answers.
Perfect. This is something we've started hearing a lot about with sustainability. The question is, plastic seems to be growing in popularity as the top choice for packaging. However, is there still a segment that will only buy glass due to sustainability or health concerns? And do you think this segment is going to grow or diminish?
There's certainly a growing backlash around plastic. We've seen it in a number of different food categories. I saw a situation yesterday with olive oil where a retailer was having some, pushing back on some of the items they were carrying, and they wanted to see things in glass, not plastic, et cetera. So definitely feel like we're going to continue to see that retailers are very sensitive to this and are, I think, COVID aside, reasonably open to hearing about alternatives.
Okay. And then it looks like one more question. Do we have any info about people who buy honey at their farmers market, or is that kind of the next phase of the study, or where does this go?
So the ANU did ask about honey purchases in farmers markets, and we have the ability to parse the data in the same way. I did not include it in this presentation because, frankly, I'm not aware of, what industry members are really prioritizing selling to farmers markets. So it seemed slightly off topic, but we could pull that data together and share that out if people would find that valuable.
Perfect. Excellent. That looks like it's it. Thank you, Don, very much for the very enlightening presentation.